podcast initiating in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to episode 2 of the TrollBox podcast with Crypto Dealer and Grim Porpoise. We've got some new topics today. I'm going to follow up on some of our previous things. How you doing today, Dealer?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good actually. Yeah, how are you?
Very good. We got some new equipment in the studio today, huh?
Yeah, I finally upgraded my mic, so it should be a lot better than it was last week.
Yeah, I got a nice little mic off of Purse, actually. We were talking about them last week.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I have some Bitcoin kicking around on there. Might as well see what I could do about getting some decent equipment.
Yeah. What sort of discount did you get on it?
I think I got like 10%. It wasn't a big deal. It was only like a $20 mic, but hopefully it does the trick, you know?
Yeah, well, it sounds okay on my end, so...
Oh, and you sound way better on my end, too, so... Hopefully this week, we put out something with listenable audio.
Yeah, last week was a wee bit... Yeah.
But we appreciate everybody who did give it a listen, and hopefully you'll listen to this one this week, too.
Yeah.
So, what's going on in the world of crypto?
Yeah, well, so it's been another busy week on the Bitcoin front. Well, the price right now is $1,220, so
Woo.
It's pretty high. That's quite high in pounds for me, of course, as well. But well, I think most of the reason for the rally was because of the ASIC boost scandal. Because it kind of came out that the reason Bitmain and Jihan Wu were pushing for the Bitcoin Unlimited fork was because actually SegWit wasn't compatible with some technology they developed, and which they also have a patent for in the US and China. So obviously it was kind of, the whole thing's been stemmed out of self-interest, and I think I think it's kind of made them lose a lot of supporters. I've seen some stuff about there was some Bitcoin Unlimited developers who've left it as well, and I think the prices kind of showed that as well, actually, because I think when that kind of came up, it was at $1,080. Yeah, $1,080. So I think it's rose about $140 since. So I think people are kind of slowly pushing they're moving away from the idea that there's going to be a fork. And actually the amount of nodes supporting Bitcoin Unlimited have dropped about 7% since the announcement as well.
It's kind of rough. Yeah,
well, there's also Litecoin too, which is nearing its SegWit activation.
Found a newfound appreciation for Litecoin that I haven't had in a while. Maybe that's because it netted me some nice profit. But.
I've stayed away from it actually. I've never really messed with it. I think it's psychological as well. I think it's partly because you see, it does have kind of a negative press because a lot of people feel well, at least until now, people felt that it hasn't really deserved its market cap value. But actually it's went up. I think it gained $100 million in the last week after the big move.
So now they're back to 63% on the SegWit activation. Oh
yeah, because I've seen there's some people saying that they might actually sabotage it, including Jihan Wu, which I don't know what he's doing anymore. I think he's kind of lost the plot.
Yeah, he's gone mad.
Yeah, he could kind of become one of those guys, like a movie where there's this rich owner of a company, and his life's amazing, right? And then everything starts to go awful, and he gets kicked off his company. I could kind of see a movie theme around that, but the plot twist is there isn't actually any redemption. He's gonna remain in the shadows of darkness. So, yeah, like because it's not just like him and his reputation. It's like his company as well. And
Right.
although they have quite a lot of support in China, I think they're not gonna last if they continue to kind of be on the wrong side of history. Do you know?
Exactly. It's not good for anybody.
Yeah, but I think also the fact that like no one's really managed to implement anything is a good sign, because the whole point was that it's meant to be robust, and unless like there's a serious problem, like, you know, it's very hard to manipulate for personal gain, as we've kind of seen over the last few weeks. But yeah, in a sense, you know, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because there are things that could be improved and should be improved with Bitcoin, but because it's so hard to reach a consensus, it makes it a lot more difficult. Like, for me, like, SegWit seemed like a no-brainer to me. You know, I think to a lot of people, but it did as well. But I think the problem is that the people who have these opinions and who can kind of see the logic in it don't own things like mining rigs and stuff. I think it's mostly people who are like ideologists around Bitcoin, you know, or traders, or just hold it. You know, they don't have as much influence as, you know, maybe they should, to control like Bitcoin's future.
Right.
Mm.
That's very true.
I think maybe another reason why the price has been going up is there's been quite a lot of kind of positive press from like the mainstream media, at least, even though there's kind of, you know, they've not really picked up a lot on the hard fork or the soft fork, but there's
right. I mean, that kind of stuff's not as accessible to the mainstream.
Yeah, it's hard to digest, I think, like,
right,
because I don't think people can kind of grasp that there's just one Bitcoin. I think if there was two Bitcoins, I think you'd lose so many people who are just in it because they bought some because they think it might go up in value, and you kind of need those people to help grow the industry as well. So
totally.
Yeah, but I think there's kind of two big articles that came out. There was the one about the Snapchat initial investors valuing Bitcoin at like potentially 500,000 by 2030, and also there was the one about the Japanese stores accepting it up to potentially 2,600 in the next year. So
yeah, I read about that too. I did read another thing where someone went over to Japan and tried it out, and they said that it was kind of clunky, and it was a little difficult to see how it would be like an everyday payment method.
Yeah.
But that just means that there's room for innovation, and you know, step one is just getting it into the public eye. So as consumer demand increases for you know, it to be more easy to use, then they'll probably find ways to do that, which some companies already have. Way of
like the ATMs, you know.
ATMs, you know, you have like Snapcard and things like that as well.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, step one is just getting a large body of people to start trying it, or at least have it in the back of their mind.
Yeah, because I think one of the problems is that although transaction times are fast, to actually confirm the payment and see it come up can be an issue, because I think,
right,
you know, I think an option for, you know, like a merchant side might be sidechains, you know, where the transaction times are a lot faster, and
definitely.
Because to be kind of standing waiting around, like there's a coin called Golden Coin. It's Dutch. I think it gets accepted in like subways and stuff in like other places. NLG, I think. Yeah,
I know.
On Bittrex, yeah, and like when you see them do it, it's quite quick, but I think that's because their chain is a lot smaller, the block times are quicker. You know, it was like, the video took about 30 seconds of him like ordering, and then like, I'm actually doing the order with his like phone. So, but I think actually, to be honest, a more realistic way of doing it would be through, you know, like debit cards. I feel like that's not too much of a transition for people to make, although you need to find that incentive for them to actually like store money on the card in the first place. But I think eventually, you know, we will kind of get to that point of mobile payment where, you know, cards and stuff won't exist, and you would just have like the one device that will be used for, you know, like loads of things, you know, not just payments and all the things it already does.
Right.
But
I mean, they have stuff like Google Wallet and things. I use that fairly regularly.
Yeah, and Apple Pay, and well, in the UK they've kind of been growing in like support, you know, recently. But at the same time, it's still not something I'd use. I'm much more like likely to use cash or cards.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I think it'll be a gradual change, you know, but I think making it obvious that it's a payment method in the first place, you know, like Japan and stuff, I think that's kind of the first step, because you also can attract people's minds to it that might not necessarily get involved in it, but might have the ideas for like new innovation. So yeah, like the more people you get involved, you know, the more success it's going to have. But
entirely, yeah. Now, with Japan accepting it, do you see that being a driving force in price at all? I mean, I don't really, it's hard. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get a sense of, you know, how many people are already using it.
Yeah.
But you gotta think that it's, you know, a decent amount of people if there was the demand for it to happen in the first place. Yeah,
well, I think part of it is because of the legislation, but I think the problem that there's, like, it could possibly impact the price, but, well, there's two things. Well, Japan's already trading Bitcoin at a premium price anyway on their, like, home exchanges, and also, if the companies don't want to hold on to Bitcoin, then there's going to be an equal sell resistance for every buy. You know, but I think companies could be quite clever with this and, you know, realize that it's still a growing technology and kind of hedge what they make through Bitcoin, just holding it. But then, you know, it's not easy to plan, especially as a company. You know, like, you don't want that kind of like uncertainty about the sort of money you're making or holding, you know, in reserve. So I think it's kind of, you know, you'll probably see some interesting tactics and stuff like the further it develops. But it's kind of hard to say, you know, exactly before, you know, there needs to be like a decent kind of like 2-3 months where you can like research it and see how the technology and the implementation is actually faring.
So it's kind of almost in beta, as you might say, where they're, you know, just kind of testing it out still, kind of.
Yeah, like no one's gonna have like the perfect recipe for paying in Bitcoin in Japan. Definitely not until, definitely until there's like a wide user base and there's like a quick payment method of doing it. Yeah. Well, the other thing was the 10 trillion evaluation by the Snapchat investors, which would be nice, obviously, but I don't, like, I can't see it happening in the next like 2-3 years.
I won't even allow that thought to enter my mind, because it's just gonna. I don't want to get too excited or anything.
Yeah, already dreaming of the Lamborghinis you can buy, or maybe even the Lamborghini factory.
Yeah, right. Which still probably wouldn't be the nicest car on the road here in LA, because I see Bentleys on the daily.
Oh, really? Oh. Yeah, you don't really see too many of them around here, but...
I saw a guy in, like, this red, like, new Aston Martin the other day. I was like, oh my god, dude.
Aston Martins are really cool, actually. I think they announced, like, a supercar, actually, that, how you've got, like, there's, like, the Porsche 911, Ferrari, LaFerrari, and then also... the McLaren P1. They're all like the kind of the pioneers of like the hypercar because they take all the electrical energy, like from like kinetic energy from like the brakes. As you like they store it and they use it to like power things, so you get like faster acceleration and stuff. It's kind of like Formula One cars actually. Oh. But I think Aston Martin were developing one, so that could be pretty interesting to see what happens to that in the next. I don't know the date or anything, but I think it's coming out in like the next year, so you'll probably see a few of them around LA.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
I think we should move on to some of the altcoins. Yeah, what's going on in the altcoin sphere? I think the last 2 weeks, everyone was shouting. Alts are back, the hashtag was going around Twitter, everyone was really excited, but actually, like, there's some doubt there because, actually, literally just there, like, the last hour since we recorded this, Bitcoin's broke, like, a major trend line since, the start of March. It was like a descending line, from the peak at, like, 13... I think it was 1350 it reached like briefly. Yeah, and now
touch and go.
Yeah, now it's like clear the trend line. So, there's potentially a lot more upside, but there's kind of like this. There's like a wedge for all the TA geeks out there. There's a bit of a wedge, and I think the maximum it can kind of reach is $1,300 before we see a bit of a downside again. But I think the momentum's there, each time there's been like a solid like lift off like there just has. The rallies lasted at least like 2-3 days, so I've actually left most of the altcoins that I was in. So I was in like a few things. I was messing around with Popcoin. I was also in LBC library. And what was the other one? I was in EXP as well, Expanse, but I sold them all a few days ago. But I'm still holding Bit Crystals because they're launching their game. Yeah.
I have been in love with Spells of Genesis.
Oh, really?
Ever since you mentioned it last week on the podcast, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check this game out, see what's going on with it. It's still in the trial phase, like the beta, but I believe it's gonna be like a phone app kind of game because it looks like one on the website, and I've just been playing it non-stop. It's crazy. It's
So what did you actually do in the game? Because I still haven't tried it myself.
It's kind of like a mix of... I mean, I don't want to say it's like Hearthstone, because it's not quite as complicated, but it's kind of cool. Like, you get different cards for different little dudes and creatures and things, and they have a defense power, an attack power, and they have like little abilities that deal extra damage or slow down an enemy. And basically, you're just shooting these little spells. You could bounce them off the walls, and you try to like rack up the most hits per shot. And it's like a little puzzle. It's kind of like I don't know, Breakout. Does that sound right? A little bit. I don't know. I've played some other games that were similar, but for some reason, I think they got it right. So I encourage everybody to check it out.
Yeah. So how does the actual currency come into play?
You can buy packs of the little cards.
Oh, okay, like cases and.
Right. I believe when you use the bit crystals, you're more guaranteed to get like a rare or an extra rare.
Oh, okay, that's quite a clever incentive, actually. Then
it's a good way to use it. And looking at the website, it looks like there's a lot of people playing already, like hundreds, if not thousands. So.
Oh, really? Well, so
it seems to be taking off pretty well, even in its infantile state currently. The artwork's pretty cool. It's in that style of that famous picture that always kicks around with like the Genesis block and that wizard.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like that, yeah. I think that's actually used in the game too. Is that from that? Or I think that's older than that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's older than the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun and really addicting. Your energy depletes if you play too much, which is, I think they should boost it up a little bit because you play like 5 or 6 games and then you have to wait for it to replenish, and you can actually, that's another thing you could use bit crystals for, is replenishing your energy.
Oh, okay. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a freemium model where you can play it, but it's not as easy or potentially as fun without paying for it.
Right. So another thing about it, I don't quite know yet how they're going to redistribute the bit crystals after everybody's spending them on these cards and replenishing energy.
Yeah.
It might not just, I think they just gave you kind of 25 to start off with, just to kind of play around with it. I think they said that it's going to be refunded at the actual launch.
Oh, okay.
So I think you might get like 25 to, because I don't see like an address to send it anymore to or anything. Otherwise, I probably would already have bought a bunch. But
yeah, the thing if they're planning to release into the wild, then the market's fairly liquid. But say if they got like a huge influx of users, I think you probably see a bit of a price decline.
Yeah.
Simply because above 20,000 satoshis, there's only like less than 100 bitcoins. Wait, there is. Oh no, there's about 20 bitcoins. So if they got, if they had like 100,000 users spending like $5 or something, you would, the market would be like, the price would go down a lot. But then,
I want some cheap rare cards.
Yeah, can you sell the cards in the game, or?
I don't. Not in this version. Maybe, I'm sure it'll be a little bit more a little more complex when they launch the actual game.
Yeah, because they could have like a whole ecosystem, like, how like games like CS:GO or like FIFA have like packs and stuff. Like, you could sell players. I think that would, especially if you could trade them into real currency. Like, I think it would create like a lot of use around the game. Because you get people that like trade on these like games like and are really good at it. So I think that's kind of interesting. Like thinking about how some games have their own economies. I think.
Yeah. I can see it going that way for sure. Based on what I know of the game, there's like forums and stuff. I haven't really taken a look at those, but I can definitely see card trading and selling independently. The way it makes it sound, it almost seems like there's cards on the blockchain. I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, okay. You know what? The Pepe cards on, I think it's Counterparty, yeah.
On Pepe Coin?
That'd be pretty cool, actually, if that was the case, but I don't know how advanced their technology or blockchain is.
Yeah, I don't really know much about digital content on chains.
Yeah, it's a bit of a grey area, actually. in my knowledge as well.
Huge, if more coins start doing that.
Yeah. Speaking of rare kind of jewels and stuff, did you see the Ruby hack?
Rare? You mean like speaking of Pepe and stuff?
No, of Ruby coin. There was a huge pump on Poloniex after a trading bot got hacked.
Oh man.
It was called altcoinbot.io. So it was kind of from someone who helped create CoinData, which is quite a popular indicator tool on Twitter. And so the way it worked was you gave your private keys to the bot so that it could like make trades on your behalf, and someone got access to all of them and then pumped up Ruby coin like 200% or something, which is absolutely mad. Like there was it bought up about 1,000 bitcoins worth of data because it took like everything in all these people's accounts, which is really mad. But the guy, he's still working on seeing like if he can like get the site back up and running, because he took it down just to kind of avoid confusion or other stuff. But I never used it. I never put my private keys or anything. I think that's kind of a good rule if you're a newcomer, is don't give anyone control of your money ever.
Right.
Because
even exchanges.
Yeah, honestly, if you
trade what you need to, and then the rest try to keep on a private wallet. Yeah,
wallets or cold storage if it's kind of one of the main currencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum, because there's always liabilities, even if something's appears secure or it has been secure for ages, or they have a vigorous security check. It's always kind of when you least expect it, I find, that something like that will happen. There was like the Bitfinex hack last year, and the Bitcoin was on like a really good rally at that point, and it completely like shot it down because, everyone just, but then, when altcoins and cryptocurrency in general are like gaining popularity and like attention, that's when it's always vulnerable. So it's best to kind of keep minimal things on other people's servers or platforms or applications.
Precisely. Yeah, your wallet's only as good as the security.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. I mean, I'm not saying at the end of each trading day take off everything off the exchanges. You don't necessarily have to do that, especially if you want to keep sell orders on or buy orders on at your desired price, but it really comes down to you, and you can't really complain if an exchange gets hacked and you had too much on there.
Yeah. I think the other thing is it depends how you trade, because the way I'd recommend it is you keep 25% maximum of all your funds on an exchange, and then have the rest in wallets and stuff. But you get people who are looking for like quick spikes in volume and stuff, and to have coins not readily accessible to sell doesn't really work in their trading model. Right. So yeah, if you're picking kind of long-term picks, especially, then keep your coins in like a cold wallet, or just on your own like computer or wallet.
Another way I used to do it this way anyway is I would keep my DAT files on an encrypted USB drive.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
that's not the best way, but
it's more secure than just keeping it on your computer, because
right.
But at the same time it's not completely cold, because if you connect to the computer and you have some sort of virus, it can just copy it over once you've moved it, sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's still, I think most hackers aren't going to go, they look for the easy pickings. I think hackers in general, I seen this like talk, I think it was like a TED talk on like a hacker, and he was saying that, hackers will do things in like the laziest way possible. So, if you go to a lot of effort, to protect your funds and stuff, they're not going to go for you. They're going to find some other poor soul to go after.
Exactly. Yeah. The path of least resistance.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think
they want a challenge.
Yeah, which some of them do, but if they're in it for money gain, then they're not gonna chase after one guy unless he's got like a huge vault of bitcoins. But generally, it's not always easy to tell. You can have multiple addresses in one wallet, the wallet file, and it's not easy to tell on the blockchain how many you actually have in that wallet, but you have per address. So that's another thing to do, is like split your coins up into smaller amounts, because on a block explorer like rich list, you're not gonna appear near the top.
Right, that's true.
And then you're less likely to be targeted. Mm-hmm. Speaking of scams and hacking, there was what was it called? There was an ICO that happened. It was an Ethereum token. It was called Matchpool. It raised $5.7 million in 2 days, basically. And then a day later, the co-founder left the project and alerted everyone to the fact that the other CEO has been moving like 37,000 Ethereum tokens like elsewhere out of the ICO addresses. So I think that's absolutely mad. I think to have kind of like the steel to kind of go away and take so much money just as soon as you raise it, I think you need to be very brave to do that, because I think also we're kind of at that point with cryptocurrency where law enforcement does get involved. There's like especially after Mt. Gox, and there's like the lawsuit and stuff against, what was his name, the guy who owned it. It's gonna annoy me. Wait, I'll get it. It's Mark Karpellas.
Mark.
I don't know how you say his last name exactly, but yeah, or maybe like Capilas. I don't know. It's kind of, I guess it's down to where you are, yeah, because that's the thing, especially if you don't talk about cryptocurrency in real life a lot. When you try and say something, it doesn't always sound right when you say it. I'd say Ethereum, but I think other people say
Ethereum.
Ethereum, that's it. Yeah.
Well, so, it's like aluminium foil versus aluminum.
Aluminium, yeah. So, yeah, but I think that's maybe just Americans being awkward. But yeah, no. Back to this ICO. I think I don't know. There's no way you can get away with that sort of theft.
That's crazy. Yeah, I hope they come down hard on him. I hope.
Yeah, because
we don't need that in crypto.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's always going to be scammy ICOs, but then equally, you're going to have some really successful ones. Like last week, we were talking about the Stratus ICO and how it's up 17x from like its initial ICO price. And they've kind of came in and they've been like a really positive impact on cryptocurrency in general. They've been really vocal, and I think they've got some deals going on with some companies to like support them via like blockchain technology and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty impressive.
You said last week that they're Java based?
Oh yeah, I think I lied actually about that. It's no wait. Because I actually, when I was like listening back to the podcast, it was either Oh, that's it. Yeah, it's not Java based. It's C# based.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I know. Yeah, that's the thing. Bitcoin's Java based.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a wee error on my part. So sorry about that, everyone.
Now are there other C# coins? I haven't really heard anything.
Yeah, I've not really heard actually about any. Because that's the thing. Like most coins will just use like the basic code base and then build upon it. Like very few actually start from scratch because unless you have a really unique idea, like what's called Pascal coin.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a completely unique code base. Unless you have like a really important like core idea to your coin, then you might as well just use the basic code base that's around.
Right.
So it is quite a lot of work though. Like I think Ethereum, Pascal, Stratus. I'm not sure how many others have actually built their own blockchain from scratch.
Yeah. Did Monero?
Oh, I think it must have, because that was one of the first. What are they called? There's a word for note coins, like
CryptoNote.
Yeah, CryptoNote. That's it. Yeah, because there's that, and there's another one that's on Poloniex called. Oh, that's gonna annoy me. I think it starts with a B. Blueberry. That's it.
Oh, Blueberry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on CryptoNote technology. Yeah. I knew it started with a B, but I keep wanting to say Bit Crystals, but I think that's because we've been talking about it.
Yes. Lovely Bit Crystals.
Yeah. There's also a few other ICOs kind of floating around right now. Another one I seen was Humanic ICO. It's like human but with IQ at the end. I don't know how you pronounce that. Maybe like split it up to be human IQ. I'm not really sure.
I like the idea Humanic.
Yeah, it's quite a cool name actually, but I think from what I kind of been seeing, there was quite a lot of dubiousness about it because some of the goals and stuff were around like bringing a blockchain to Africa, and that's quite reminiscent of like Zetacoin back in the day. I was going to support all of Africa with its coin, but yeah, so I'd err on the side of caution approaching Humanic from what I've heard. There's another ICO that sold out in like 25 minutes.
Is it the Eternity one?
I think it must have been, yeah. Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But I feel like with those things, they've already been planned. They've already got a load of investors lined up to buy as soon as the thing is launched.
Right.
Because like it kind of does two things. It creates like hype around the coin. Where you can say, "Oh, look, it's such an amazing coin." We've raised £5 million in like 28 minutes. That sounds really impressive. Like it's a great headline to kind of kickstart your coin and give it publicity.
Well, that could have been just like an investor.
Yeah, just like one or two investors, which I think it's important to maybe have kind of that sort of support and what's the word, motivation to develop the coin. If you have that sort of money sitting behind it, and the potential reward as well. Because if you get the launch right and get like a good solid platform of a coin, then that could easily double once other people start to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's maybe one to keep an eye on, although I imagine when it launches, like if you haven't bought into an ICO, then don't buy as soon as it hits market, because it's still finding price discovery. You've seen it with like List, when that launched, it was up like 180,000.
Oh, yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, and then it kind of over the next few days went to like 40, 50k, and then it had like a rebound, but then it settled around the 30k mark. And then actually, when there was when alts are really in like a bear trend, it was down at like 9k, which was that was actually its ICO price. Like, if you sold at any point before that, you would have been in quite a lot of profit. I sold, I think when I got my coins, I sold about 70k sats, and then played like a small rebound from 40k. But yeah, that was actually one of my best like trades in terms of not so much percentage, although it was like a big percentage, but in like actual monetary gain, because I think it's the most I've ever put into an ICO as well.
Oh, really?
Because generally I wouldn't risk more than 1 or 2 bitcoins unless you're like 100% sure it's going to be a success.
Right.
But
this easiest thing to do.
Yeah, it's very hard to kind of, especially there was like a big ICO season a few months ago, and you had like a new ICO every day, and it's really hard to kind of pick out the winners and losers. Like around that time, there was things like the Plutus ICO, and yeah, some of them. Well, it was actually quite a big one as well. It raised like $1 million. There was also things like the Rise one, things like that. They all raised quite a lot of money, but they were all flops in the end. I think, yeah, Stratus was actually the most successful one out of that period.
Yeah.
But there's also probably the worst ever performing ICO was Voxels. It started. I think it was like 160,000 satoshis, and currently its price is, I think it's about 2,000 satoshi,
Ouch.
which is disgusting. You've basically lost. You're just above a 99% loss.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting. But I think most people. Well, that's the thing, because when you look at the chart, especially, there's like been loads of periods where it looked like it was potentially in like some sort of accumulation, and it just kept going down. Like, it's because there's so many coins. I think there was like 100 million coins, and especially if you got in at the start, your price per coin is pretty low, so you can just keep selling and manipulate the market as well. But I think, by the looks of it, I think everyone got out of that coin. Everyone, like the major investors, I think everyone was out, because even now with like the kind of the alt season happening, it didn't really gain a lot in like value at all. So I think there's not actually like a major whale around it. So if you're a whale and looking to pick up on a coin, that may be worth looking at, as long as you can convince the developers to actually develop something on it. It was actually quite a cool idea to begin with. It was like virtual reality on the blockchain, so you'd be able to.
Yeah.
It's to do with like designing virtual reality worlds. So you were able to buy like different like objects and stuff with the Voxels coins.
That's neat. Did it ever come to fruition? Did they?
It basically looked like or what they called those websites. It just looked like a basic like storefront web design page with like, but instead of like money or like actual useful items in real life, it was like just a picture of like a sword, and then it was like 5,000 voxels sort of like underneath it, like the price. Like I went on it at the start because like when I was researching the coin, but it doesn't really like. Yeah, it didn't really look that amazing for what they'd actually produced. Like, I don't actually know if they're working on it anymore.
That's a shame, because that sounds kind of neat. It would be cool if they could do a Minecraft kind of thing out of it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
A virtual reality Minecraft-esque thingy.
Yeah, because people are saying like virtual reality is probably one of the next kind of big frontiers, but then it could actually just kind of fall flat like 3D TVs. But actually no, it could be really useful in terms of things like you could use it to train doctors and stuff, and like operations and all that. If they were like it's a bit more realistic than maybe like, I don't actually know what doctors used to train, but I imagine it's just kind of like a plastic jelly corpse or something.
Yeah, I think really porn's kind of gonna spearhead the way as it usually does with emergent technologies like, DVD versus what was the other one? Laserdisc.
Oh, Blu-ray, do you mean?
And Blu-ray versus HD DVD, because the porn industry went with Blu-ray.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That also Betamax and VHS, same thing happened. So usually that stuff kind of ends up dictating the early adoption. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if it's exactly gonna go away, because it has been getting better and better, and there are still devices coming out. I haven't had the pleasure of checking any virtual reality out yet, but there's supposedly if it's at a certain frame rate that is higher than what your eyes normally see, it can really throw off your equilibrium.
Yeah, because I think the human eye is 24 frames per second or something. Yeah. That it can recognize up to.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, it's kind of I guess in the sense it's kind of when the Wii first came out, and you know how you got all those accents of people banging into things and not putting the strap around their wrist and then launching it into their TV when they're playing the Wii bowling or something. So I guess you kind of got that as well. You probably need to work on the safety of it.
Yeah.
As well.
Definitely.
But
yeah. Flailing, or especially if you have goggles on and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen funny videos of people crashing into things, or
yeah, they're amusing up until the point it's you. So
it's cool. It's cool though. Another thing, Kim.com finally released a little preview for Mega Upload 2.0.
Oh, did he? Oh,
yeah. That's with Bitcoin integration, so we can see some new adoption there probably. I know I used to use Mega Upload a lot back in the day. Of course not for any illegal content or anything.
Of course not.
Of course not. But you'll be able to set prices in Bitcoin for the digital content that you want to download. So once that launches, we're going to start charging everybody for this podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we could do a thing like that with if we had a premium content sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe we might be able to do something like that. That would be cool.
Yeah.
If anybody
if there's
wants
interest,
it.
let us know. Yeah.
If anybody wants it. Otherwise, I mean, it could just be fun to mess around with. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could even do it for free. I don't think you need to charge Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think it's more as an incentive to get the copyright hounds off his back. If he can say, you can protect your content by making it so you have to pay for it. Because he's still fighting that legal battle with the US for extradition.
Right.
So, but what I'm not really sure what how I feel about him, because especially he was planning to launch this a month or so ago, and he kind of hyped everyone up for it, and then went 2 seconds, guys, and then only just got now to launching the platform. So I feel he, in a sense, he's kind of like an altcoin chiller. Do you know what I mean? But with a file server and a file hosting platform. So I feel I think his intentions are good. It's kind of good to have big personalities and influences getting involved in Bitcoin like that. But I think. Yeah, I don't know. I'm cautious of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably some red tape and stuff that he's still working through.
Yeah, I think he still, like, I don't know if it's still now, but he had all of his, like, resources tied up, like, you know, like in a sort of, like taken away from him, basically.
Yeah, it's all frozen.
While the court was, yeah. But I think he got some back.
He had some digital assets, such as Bitcoin, stashed away somewhere. There's no way that he didn't, especially if he's integrating it into the new Mega Upload.
Yeah, he must have a stake if he wants to make, like, it profitable, you know, like, because I think he kind of assumes that, like, the price will go up once he's launched it and everything, but I don't know, like, only if he gets, like, a huge user base, it makes it, like, Bitcoin exclusive, like, he doesn't let people charge it for, like, US dollars, or...
I think that's the plan. I don't believe he's... And you can also limit the amount of downloads, too. That's really... probably going to influence Bitcoin or anything, but that's kind of cool. Like, if you just want to share it with a few people, because they used to have like private downloads where you would need an account on Mega Upload.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it could be quite interesting actually if you have like 200 copies of something and you say, right, the first people to pay me 10 bitcoins get a copy. So like it could kind of create. You could kind of do it like. It's kind of like you could maybe use it to do like a crowdfunding thing potentially as well, or like give someone like a private key or something to like a wallet on a coin.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because it doesn't matter what kind of file really.
Yeah, and before we see this like next week, like someone's like heard the idea and went. We can make a quick buck off of that.
Yeah. Send me 0.01 bitcoins and I'll give you my picks of the week.
So many. That's another like newbie tip. Like if you've just got into cryptocurrency, don't pay for a private group. No. I think you're going to be dumped on.
You're going to be dumped on. I've learned that the hard way along the way.
Oh, I definitely did too.
Yeah. But yeah, when they tell you to buy, they already have their coins.
Yeah, they're already like locked and loaded.
Yeah.
So they're waiting on you to pump the price up or to buy their coins from you.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. I feel like altcoins especially become a lot more professional. You know, like if you look at CoinMarketCap. I think it's like the first 150 coins all have over $1 million valuation, which is, a few years ago you wouldn't have seen that at all. There's only like 2 or 3 with over, like a sustainable over $1 million market cap as well. So yeah, we've come a long way, which is very strange to see us get to that kind of like professional realm, especially when it just used to be like a bunch of guys on like a forum and they'd make like a wallet release and it'd be like big news and everyone would pump the price.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming a lot less. I don't know. We're in a time where the scams aren't as aplenty as they were even just a year or two ago.
Yeah, it's harder to get away with them because I think partly there's more like tension. And also, a lot of the techniques have already been used and exposed. So, but there must be people who have like made like, because like, there was a while where there's like a new scam every day, and there must have been someone who was raking in like hundreds of bitcoins on it, But this is around the time when like Bitcoin was like $300, $400 and like still on its bear trend. So. They probably already sold, to be honest. Like, I know quite a lot of people who've came back and like the last, basically since like they heard that Ethereum was such a big success and that altcoins are getting like millions in daily volume. Yeah. I think that's kind of when you got quite a lot of veterans come back. But I think the other thing is that the game has kind of changed. It isn't all about like hype and stuff. There is an element of that to, get interest in the coin, but, technical analysis and also just like fundamental analysis as well, because, there's a world where fundamentally, as long as it had a block explorer and a wallet for Windows and Mac, and that was basically all you needed to get like a pump going, and then like maybe one release of like a mobile wallet or something, and you'd have everyone shouting from the rooftops that this was like the next big thing. Yeah. So we've moved away from that. Like if you find a good coin, stick with it, because you're going to get a return on investment as long as something doesn't go like horribly wrong.
The devs don't leave or abandon it, which it seems less and less. But like you had mentioned earlier, it does still happen from time to time.
Yeah, though there's the vanilla coin developer John Connor. He's gone in the wind.
Really?
Like after Oh wait, did you not know this? Did you not notice like the big price crash in Vanilla Cash?
I did. It's up 37% right now, but.
It was up at like 40k and then crashed down to like 2000.
Yeah.
It was because I think what the problem he had was he felt that the coin was worth more than it was priced, and he kind of put that down to whales controlling the price, And he was saying about how, I know, like if you own a coin, you have to work with whales, like. But he was a bit of an unfriendly personality, he was quite brash, he blocked a lot of people on Twitter, people just asking like questions, but maybe like negative questions, and he blocked them straight away, like he wouldn't even reply to them.
I liked Vanilla
and I think I did it. I had an interesting story about this. So I like here in the UK, I had a friend who he doesn't know anything about cryptocurrency or anything at all, but he studied at university, and he got told by I can't remember what course he was on, but they had guests from like JP Morgan come, and they were I think he was in a computing based course, because they were talking about like digital technology and stuff, and they said to like the whole class, you should buy vanilla coin, because it's like some of the technology it's got, it's got like instant transactions, all that sort of thing, and so he actually had like he didn't know anything about it. He was holding vanilla coin, for like I think he was holding it like 2 years, and he was saying like, oh, it's going to overtake Bitcoin at some point, and I remember telling him, it's unlikely, it does have like good fundamental technology, but on the market, it's very liquid and stuff, it would be, it already has like $1 million market cap, and it just like struggles to stay above that sort of thing. And I remember messaging him when this happened, and he was like, oh well, there goes that dream. Because he'd so it's really strange to think that was sort of reach that an altcoin had. This was kind of before the time of Ethereum and things like Zcash and all that now as well. And so that's the thing. That's kind of a moral of the story. Pick a coin that you believe in, and but when it becomes a winner, you need to make sure you sell, because some of them can go terribly wrong, just like Vanilla Cash. Although they had like a community takeover, which I don't know. Community takeovers are a bit, it's kind of like, it's just so that your investment doesn't completely go down the drain, because I don't think I've ever seen a community takeover that's actually worked out and still has like an active. Actually, no. To be fair, Ethereum Classic technically is a community supported coin.
That's true.
Although it has like a company like backing it up, I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. yeah, that's probably the most successful one, and you'd maybe argue that they haven't done a huge amount since like they forked from ETH.
Well, I guess Bitcoin's kind of like that too, since Satoshi.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, they've kind of done things like like bug fixes and stuff, and just making sure the infrastructure is strong. But actually, in terms of like major development, they've not actually built upon what Satoshi's developed.
Right.
Really,
Yeah.
when you think about it, we've still got 1 megabit blocks. We've still got, there's nothing like SegWit or like the Lightning Network or, so.
We try to do things, but
yeah, it's back down to, but then it's kind of back to that point of like, maybe it's good, it's robust.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, we had some news about Verge Radio.
Oh yes.
Do you want to go?
The creator of Verge, who I know actually going back from Dogecoin Dark, we might be getting some airtime on Verge Radio, so that'll be pretty cool. I believe it's vergecurrency.com/radio. Is where you'd be able to hear it. We're still going to upload the podcast to different channels such as SoundCloud still, eventually probably YouTube.
I think we're going to get YouTube,
Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah.
And so it'll just be another way to hear us and get some more people listening.
Probably have some more people on as guests in the next few weeks.
Exactly, yeah. Actually, the dev of Verge, he wants to make an appearance. Also, a dude that I met in the Particle chat. Particle, like we talked about last week, is the currently transitioning Shadow Cash. Where the coin swap is still not over, but that by next week it will be. So we might actually have the dude that I met in there on next week to discuss that and the future of Particle. So.
Yeah, and also if literally if anyone wants to come on the show and be a guest and just speak their mind about cryptocurrency, then just drop us a DM on Twitter or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And because we kind of love to hear other people's views and opinions on it. Because I imagine like there might be a point where we're kind of just versing the same opinions over and over again.
Yeah, we don't want to get stale or anything. Yeah. So anybody, regardless of how long you've been in crypto, if you're newer, if you're an old veteran, fresh perspective.
It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to get some like newbies on the show actually, just to kind of. But I think that'd be quite cool actually, because they'd have questions and stuff, and also maybe different like views on cryptocurrency in general, because like me and you, we've been in cryptocurrency for like the last 3-4 years, so I feel like we've kind of seen it all, and we have quite established opinions, but maybe someone coming in with like a completely different perspective on it could be pretty interesting to hear about.
Agreed. Yeah, and before we wrap up, do you have any coins of the week that you think people would do well keeping an eye on?
Well, for me personally, right now, the only coin I maybe keep an eye on was Ethereum Classic, because of the Grayscale Trust being launched in like the next week or 2 weeks. There's not like a definite date yet, but because if this the Bitcoin trend continues, then it's going to knock the wind out of quite a lot of altcoin sales. I think the only coins you're going to see have rises or maintain their prices in Bitcoin value will be ones with like news releases or something like major happening around it. But yeah, probably Ethereum Classic. I'm not really sure what else I had. Things like Pascal Coin potentially. They've been kind of sitting around 20,000 sats for the last while, and typically once something's listed on like a major exchange, it'll have kind of like a quiet period before like a kind of rebound pump. It probably won't break the all-time highs of like I think it reached like 150,000 satoshis. But I think you could probably expect like a decent rise if you're willing to hold it for like the next month or so.
Right.
Yeah. What about you? Have you got any?
I'm gonna steal yours from last week and say Bit Crystals because that was a genesis. Once again, I'm. Other than that, I don't really know. I haven't really. This week I've been quite busy at work and stuff, so I haven't been able to really look towards my next investment. I want to get rid of this bag of Litecoins that I have again. It just missed myself, and like literally by like 100 satoshis or something. And I mean, I'm not stuck with a ton of them or anything, and I'm pretty sure I could get out of it without a loss, but
well, the other thing to bear in mind is like even if it's like a Bitcoin value loss, it might still actually be a profit in US dollar value.
Exactly.
So
especially if Bitcoin keeps staying above 1,200.
Yeah, well, I think its next kind of target will be 1,300, but if it doesn't manage to break that pretty quick, then you'll see a bit of a bounce back. Probably back to kind of 1,200s. Probably enter the 1,100s for a while.
Yeah.
Unless there's a big like hard fork drama or something that happens, I think it's back in that kind of recovery to like stable, like a steady gain,
Right, and that'll be better for the alts as well, because I'm actually kind of surprised how much Doge held its value. I mean, I think I bought my most recent bag at like 18 sats.
Oh, so you've made. Where is Doge
31.
Right now? Price is. Oh, so you're nearly a 2x. Yeah. That's about 66%, something like that. So that's pretty good return. I think most altcoins, if you bought kind of at the top of the Bitcoin rally, you made a 2x. Like I don't think I've seen a coin that didn't, apart from maybe Zcash. Actually, no, that did. It was, it did, because it was down at like 0.03 for a while, and now it's at 0.05. So, how much is that? That's about $50 a coin.
Yeah.
So, which is still quite expensive. Well, that's something to watch actually with Zcash. Is most of the supply isn't actually out, so when it gets up to its like maximum block rewards per block, the price is going to go down gradually for a while until the price can sustain an income and dump every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, there might be like quick plays with it, but I'd stay away from Zcash for the next while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Cool. Well.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, be sure to check the show out, and share it, and like and subscribe or whatever it is for SoundCloud or YouTube.
We'll be updating on the Twitter with any new platforms we roll out on. So that keep an eye out for that. You can always email us at trollboxpodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter at trollboxpodcast. SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/trollboxpodcast. Seeing a trend here. We were able to snagged the name for all of our platforms, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm surprised that no one's actually used the name before for a podcast, because it's quite a good one actually. So, because when you suggested it, I was like, "Has no one used that before?" So, you've had an original idea, which is very good.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, Dealer, I think we made it over an hour today. So
yeah, so an hour and 10 minutes or something. So, lucky everyone who really enjoys our voices.
Sorry for everybody who doesn't. But yeah, so I think this is a good spot to sign off. We'll be back next week with episode 3. Hopefully this audio comes out much better than last time. And happy trading and profits to all. See you next week.
See you.
Later, Dealer.